Hi, I'm Kevin Conroy.
And I'm Andrea Romano. And we're on today's episode of DC Daily.
So stay tuned.
Can you check that again?
Oh, everyone's a critic.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to DC Daily. I'm Hector Navarro. And on today's show, we are joined by a pair of very special guests. I'm very excited if you couldn't tell. First, you likely know him best as the voice of Batman in the DC animated universe. Mr. Kevin Conroy is here. And also joining us is the legendary voice director who helped mold those amazing performances, Andrea Romano. Oh my gosh, thank you both so much for being here.
Oh, it's great being here. Isn't she incredible?
She's incredible.
We love her.
She's incredible.
We love her.
We love her, absolutely. It's mind-blowing. All right, well, we've got some questions for you guys. So the first question here is, DC Universe has your entire animated histories with DC on it. What is it like having all those great adventures in one place?
How fantastic is that it's all in one lovely little place. Mm-hmm. I feel so lucky that I fell into the DC universe. Yeah. I happened to be working on a show at Warner Brothers that Bruce Timm was also working on, and I think because he didn't know any other voice directors, he said, Andrea, do you want to? And Batman, sure.
Yeah.
And so how lovely to have all, I mean, you think about the various different projects we've done together.
Yes.
All the, whether it's Justice League or Justice League Unlimited or Batman Beyond, Batman the Animated Series, Superman, so many, Batman and Robin, the Superman Batman Hour, so many, Teen Titans, so many shows that have really good quality production. None of them were less than stellar.
Yeah.
And that's lovely that there is this one place that has all that remarkable stuff.
It's great. It's great for fans, absolutely. Yeah.
Whenever I think of this, this whole experience for me, this whole universe, I always think of that John Lennon line, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. I never intended to do this.
I know.
I was just an actor, a stage actor from New York. I was in LA doing a job, and my voiceover agent said they're doing a new job over at Warner Brothers, new animated show, Batman, give it a shot. And I said, new? Batman's been around forever. I didn't even know it had never been an animated show. So it was just a cold audition of a New York actor just improvising in a booth. And luckily, Andrea had heard of me through a casting friend of my New York stage work. So she was the reason I was in there.
Yeah.
And, but no one out here knew me. And then Batman, the animated series, became Batman and Robin, became Batman Beyond, became the Justice League, became the Arkham series.
Yes.
I mean, and the direct-to-video games. But so to have all of that, you know, what starts as just a random audition becomes a 27-year odyssey.
Who would have thunk?
And a career. And then to have it all in one platform like this is just, it's just a blessing. It's amazing.
This sample is unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Your view is quite limiting. Mrs.
Dr. Arcane. Abby Arcane.
5,000 people work at the CDC. That's 4,999 other options they could have sent.
There's all kinds of awful that happens in this swamp, but I think you'd know that.
She was like my sister. I killed her.
All that darkness wasn't my fault. It was yours.
Something's out there.
How did you know this is Batman?
Yes.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
How could you not know?
It was truly very clear. Bruce Timm and I we'd culled through hundreds of actors who read for Batman. And we'd gotten down to about 4 or 5 that we said, they could do it. If we don't find anything better, we could make this work, which is not really what you want for a casting decision.
Yeah.
You want it to be, this is awesome. And when I reached out to my casting friend from New York, Anthony Barneo, we lost recently. He said, you should read this guy, Kevin Conroy. He's got stage experience. He's got a bunch of really wonderful TV credits. And I just think he's got a voice that will work. And Kevin walked in, this was during callback, so a lot of other people had read multiple times already. And Kevin walked in, and we sat there and listened, and it was just, you could see the stress like leave our bodies as we just went, oh, we found him. Can we go home and drink lots of wine now, guys? We got him. It was such a relief because the problem with having an actor who maybe has the right voice but isn't a great actor, or someone who's a really great actor and doesn't have a great voice, that means there's a lot of extra work that I have to do to make it be right. And in Kevin, we found someone with both the voice and the acting chops. And so it was a genuine relief for me. It was a lovely moment.
And for me, it was a perfect fit because it's the first animated role I ever auditioned for. Yeah. But I was a classically trained Juilliard Shakespeare. That's what I did.
Perfect.
Which doesn't happen. I mean, that kind of theater doesn't much exist anymore.
Yeah.
But Batman, when you think of all the superheroes, he's Achilles. He's Orestes. He's he's a classic Shakespearean type of character.
Absolutely.
So I approached him with everything that I knew, and with the same seriousness I would approach one of those roles.
I remember you
and it was
mentioning
exactly
Hamlet.
what they wanted. And it was like
Hamlet.
they were describing his avenging his parents' death and dual identities and misunderstood and living in the shadows. I said, "You're telling the Hamlet story." And Bruce said, "Well, no one's made that analogy before."
Yeah.
And it was apt.
But it was exactly what they were looking for, was someone to approach it as a classic character rather than the Zap Pam
Sure.
Pow of
Which-
the Adam
Yeah.
West show.
That's what had been everybody's exposure to
Right.
the
Yeah.
Batman, other than the comic books, was Adam West's very cartoony version. We were
Which
making a
everyone
cartoon.
loved.
Yeah,
Everyone
great.
loved that show,
Sure.
but it was
Right.
like Andy Warhol version
Right.
of
Yes.
Batman.
Right, doing something different.
Pop art,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we just recently rewatched the first episode that aired for Batman the Animated Series on Leather Wings.
Good one.
And we would talk about just hearing that and hearing how perfect Kevin is, and his Bruce Wayne is a revelation, the sort of duality of that. Anyway, if y'all haven't rewatched that in a while, go back, start it again.
And
it's great.
pay attention to the first line that you
Yes.
hear, because that's actually Kevin doing the helicopter pilot.
Helicopter,
Do you remember the
that's
line?
What the heck was that?
What
Was-
was that?
You remember the
What
line?
was that?
The good news is this is all available on DC Universe. You can
Excellent.
go right now.
Excellent.
So I was the first voice of the first show
Yes.
of the whole legacy of the Batman
love that.
trilogy.
What would I say to him? You're tall, some b****. Now, Bob Kane, with Bill Finger, created a superhero that wasn't super in any way. He just had a great costume. He was also the greatest detective in the world. Being the greatest detective in the world and having a great costume, you can forgive that he's not a superhero. He's not struck by lightning or whatever the rest of that stuff is. He's just a great hero, and he wears a bat costume. A lot of us could think, well, that's not a superhero. But you know what he is? Where Superman is over here and is at this end of the bookcase, and then we have the bookcase of superheroes. At this end of the bookcase, we have Batman, who is not a superhero at all. Because Batman is an Olympic champion. He could run the decathlon. He could do the archery. He could do all those things and he would probably either be runner-up or winner of most of those events because he is so dedicated to be physically perfect. He is the greatest detective in the world. When he's behind that lab thing, and he's like putting stuff together and bringing screens up, and he's finding things that nobody else knows, and he's coming up with surprises when he's really that detective, and then he goes out and he does the thing that he has to do. And he is me at my best, at my very best. And that's what he's supposed to be. That's why we love him. That's why we like him as a friend. We believe in him. We think that he will do his best. This is one of those things that only can be told by history. This is great, this is wonderful. Well, 10 years from now, is it still great and wonderful? I have a book, Superman versus Muhammad Ali. It may be one of the best comic books ever done. And people bring it to me now to sign, and it's falling apart in my hands because of reading That was done 35, 40 years ago. So this is a sign of the history of this character. You know, you can come up with a comic book character and say, mine's the greatest comic book character ever done. No, this has stood the test of time. I never thought that Batman would go away. That there's things in my life that I think are stupid and would never happen. You know, that we would have comic book conventions and that it would become I would be right and everybody in the world would be wrong, and that comic books would last forever. Those things are a surprise to me. That Batman would go on, not a surprise. He is the other end of the bookshelf, where Superman is here, Batman is here, and everything else is in between. He is not a superhero. He is Batman.
So what are some of, aside from finding the right people, what are some of your favorite memories or moments from working on the DC animated universe?
The whole universe, so much. I want to first say that as a woman, it was an honor to be brought into that family, because it really is kind of a boys' club, or certainly had been then. Women have embraced this world so much more, and I'd like to think, pardon me, that I was a part of that. Because I wanted to make sure that all these action stories had heart that would cause women to want to watch it, women, girls, that there was something maybe more emotional than the guys working on the show might have thought of.
Yes.
And that was something that I think I did succeed at for the most part. And when there would be episodes, and whether it was a direct-to-home video or an episode, if there was a time when an actor was meant to make the audience cry. If they didn't make me cry, I continued to work with them until they actually made water come out of my eyes. And I love that. I would get choked up, and I know you were in the room often when this would happen. I would just go, just need a minute. That was really good. Okay, let's do the next slide. But that's what you wanted, that kind of actual emotional content, because the action takes care of itself, really. It's clearly a massive amount of action. And what we did that was so cool with all of these projects is individually ADR the action, which means we didn't just record 15 oofs or 20 and use them every time he threw a batarang or got punched in the stomach, so that every single scene where someone is pulling themselves up a ladder, it's specific to, and that I think made a huge difference, as well as the individual scoring of every episode. The genius that was Shirley Walker.
Amazing.
And all the people that followed, the dynamic music partners, all the people that did the music, stunning.
But I think a real key to it also was Andrea's insistence and Warner Brothers' insistence on always having everyone record together.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen all the time. A lot of studios like to get distinct recording because it makes post-production easier, and also accommodating complicated actor schedules.
Sure.
You know, it's just hard to get everyone in the room together. You really went out of your way to make sure everyone was in the room together. And then there's a collaborative effort. There's a sense of it almost becomes like a radio play.
Right.
Yeah.
And acting is as much about reacting as it is acting. You get what you give and you give what you get. Like working with Mark Hamill. He gives so much. He's so generous. He's so animated that you're getting so much you can't help but give back. You know, it pulls it out of you.
Yeah.
And that's a joy to be in the room with that.
Oh,
by the
to
way.
watch him
really fun.
is to be in the room with him is a dangerous place. Because he gets very, ooh, Betty.
But from behind the glass, it's
And
safe and fun.
Yeah. When you're in there, it's like spit, 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 spit. He's spitting all over you. No, but there was that way with Ron Perlman and so many wonderful actors that were brought in. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. Think of the cast
Remarkable
we had
people.
over the years.
And that was an absolute joy and crazy part of my job, which was essentially I would just keep a list of people I wanted to work with because I admired them.
Yeah.
And then would just look for something in a script and say, is there a role for, and then, I got one. And then bring in somebody like Roddy McDowell or you know, David Warner, or these remarkable actors.
John Glover.
John Glover, all these wonderful people, and all these women too that would come in and play. And then the bizarre thing about it is once it got going, once the first series was out, then I would start getting the calls from agents saying, my clients want to be a part.
Yeah.
And here's my whole client
Isn't
list.
that wild?
And please, keep any of them in mind. And, the truth is, we were paying scale. It was not tens of thousands of dollars. It was, sorry. I mean, that was the thing, was that people
them to think we're rich.
Everybody wanted to come and play. And I always made sure it was a pleasant environment where people felt comfortable exploring. And what would happen too is people who had lots of experience on camera, maybe a little bit of animation experience, they would get intimidated with the fight stuff because it's intense. And even Kevin, when we first started doing it, he would say, you want me to say what? To do what? I was like, I need you to throw a punch.
It feels so artificial to be sitting in a chair and going,
right, exactly. And then everybody got really good at it. But the thing is, I would not be afraid to do it myself for them, so they could see that looking crazy or making a terrible face or doing some sort of crazy physical is what you needed. Because otherwise, it sounds like which is different. And using the body and telling actors you can stand. I don't think Mark Hamill ever sat for a recording.
He can't contain it.
I don't think he could do it. I don't think he could do the Joker with that.
Well, yeah,
It was also you. I don't know if you remember. You thanked me once for something that I was so appreciative that you noticed that I'd been doing it, and I in recordings I like to be a little bit of a bad boy, and cut up a little bit because I think it's better once people realize that you're not writing the Bible, that you can make a mistake, you can act like an idiot, you can make everyone laugh.
Yeah.
That's right.
Then they're free to take chances, to be an idiot, because that's when genius happens. That's when something totally unexpected happens. So I was always, doing Andrea, something weird with my voice, and everyone would crack up. And at one point you pulled me aside and you said, I know what you're doing. Thank you.
Yep.
You're loosening everybody up in there.
Because he was often the only one that had been in every single episode.
Well, I was the one unifying thing.
Sure.
And you were casting, TV people, film people. It got to the point where everyone wanted to be on the show. And there'd be people coming on who'd never done an animated, spot before.
Right.
So they didn't know what they were getting into.
No.
They didn't know how uptight it was going to be. And once I did something totally idiotic, they realized.
And if we're not having fun making cartoons, we're doing something wrong.
Batman. It's
Exactly.
You guys are both of you geniuses.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you again for coming in today. We could easily talk to you for another 10 hours, and we really want to, but we're out of time.
Oh no!
So much.
Here.
I know.
But there's so much more I want to say.
Invite us again.
I guess we'll just have to.
Oh, did I
have
tell you about
back.
the time?
You're joking, but I really wanted to hear it.
Yeah,
All right.
we're dying.
It's been a pleasure talking to both of you. That does it for DC Daily today. We're going to be taking Memorial Day off, but we'll see you Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye. See you later. So tell us, what else did you want to do?
You'll have to just invite us again because we have 1,000.
We have 1,000.
Oh, man.